Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers. If you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money. So we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now, on with the show.
Welcome to Live at the Blue Box. Tonight we are doing Input Junkie. This is a favorite of ours. I don't know if it's a fan favorite, but it's definitely a favorite of ours. We love doing this. So here's the idea of this show. Basically, we each come to the table with like 3 different inputs we had for this week. And what the inputs are anything you inputs. Books, movies, TV, food, whatever. Whatever you consider an input. So we're going to talk it out. Kind of our favorite stuff of the week. And as an audience, if you have anything, you can shout things out. We love to engage. Let's introduce ourselves. Let's start down on that end.
I'm Chris Mao.
Chris Mao, owner of
Blue Box Cafe.
Yes.
Woo! Yay!
Let's hear it for Chris. And Chris has been joining us on a number of podcasts lately, so this has been a blast.
Now that Edward's on the bio, I have
you're
to
going to have
submit.
to get your bio too.
Pressure's on me.
Eventually,
Slacker.
the whole audience will have a bio. Okay, Martha.
I'm Martha Southgate.
You know what? I tipped the hand there. I already told who it was.
Yeah, you
So
did.
what do you do, Martha?
I don't know. Not much.
Yes. Co-owner of Southgate Media Group.
Yeah, I do that.
And
Yes.
On a number of podcasts, including actually this, which is Input Junkie was one of our first.
Mm-hmm.
And this was kind of the baby that launched the whole thing. So this is where it all started.
Well, actually, Under the Dome.
Under the Dome started. But this was way back
This was our
before-
first original.
Yes. If this was Inception, this would be part of the Inception.
Oh, I don't know.
know
I don't
what
get
that
the
means.
reference,
Yeah, okay.
but I'll
So
let that go.
Nobody gets it. It's okay. I don't either. Okay, and then I'm Rob Southgate. That's it. So we just got back from Wizard World Madison.
It sounds like an opening to a joke, but it really was.
2
not.
jerks were driving a car back from Wizard World Madison.
Yeah.
One had a duck on their head.
Yeah.
And the other-
You know what? That got more of a laugh.
And the other said I-90.
No, that's got a pity. That was pity doesn't count.
More than it should have got. So yeah, go ahead. You were saying that it was cool. You found it interesting.
Well, we go to a lot of Comic-Cons, but we haven't been to one where it's the first one.
Right.
And so it was interesting to watch people's reactions and see all the cosplay and everybody in their costumes. If you don't know what cosplay is, and
I thought it was interesting talking to people there. We went to a coffee shop, and they didn't even know what it was
What, Comic-Con was?
yeah,
at all.
Oh, cool.
And,
That's good,
and,
though.
And he was asking me about it, like, what is this? And there's what happening at it? So I was trying to describe it, and then I look up, and they had a big poster in the coffee shop. And I said, it's this. And he's like, wow. And you know his only frame of reference for what it was, and I found this with other people there, was that Saturday Night Live when William Shatner was on, and he was at the Star Trek convention, and Get Alive. You know that
Right?
one?
Yeah. Not even a Galaxy Quest reference?
No,
Nothing like
that's
that?
what he got. That's all he had was the William Shatner Saturday Night Live bit. So it was interesting.
what it tells us is that Wisconsin people don't read
Oh,
because he was
What?
right next to the
Throw
poster.
him under the cheesy bus.
Nice.
Wow.
Tatiana, don't
You know
you
what?
dare!
You know
Don't
what
you
just
dare
happened?
yell at me! Oh, I'm not wrong. Oh, thank you, Tatiana.
She just attacked Wisconsin. You are now banned from Mouse House Cheese House.
I know.
That's right.
I figured you were yelling.
No more
at me.
broad stop for you. So.
No more
Yeah.
broad
No more
stuff
broad
for you,
stuff.
lady.
Well, I mean, that's good that they brought it there because, I mean, you know, Madison, it's actually a really cool town. There's a lot of neat stuff. It's
Sure.
it's the weirdest town because in the most conservative state, it's a very open kind of
Liberal,
situation
yeah.
with the college and the National Smokeout Day and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad they were able to bring that there and get some. It sounded like they got some good buzz. So
It was so packed today.
The first
you couldn't
hit
even
wasn't
walk.
that busy, and we were commenting like, well, this is neat. It's kind of like going to MightyCon, which is a really tiny con. We're like, it's a big version of MightyCon. MightyCon's like a homegrown little, like it could almost fit in this room, you know? And a little bigger than that. But today,
you could not even move.
Well, you know what? But
No way.
I'm wondering how much the proximity to Chicago mattered because, from here in Elgin, Illinois, it's only an hour and 45-minute drive.
Right.
I would have gone up had I not had to be here and work. I wanted to go. I wanted to meet Edward James Olmos, who you got to spend some time with as you related to me, and I want to hear about that. But, I'm sure they did
my
good.
inputs yet. We're getting there.
I know. I'm sorry. I wanted
Spoiler.
a little teaser. So, but I would have loved to have gone just because the Rosemont, the Chicago Comic-Con was so busy on Saturday and so busy on Sunday.
And it's huge.
And it's
it
huge.
takes forever to get through a little bit of it.
Kathleen and I spent literally 2 or 3 hours every day just going to vendors, and we didn't get to all of them in 4 days. And we went every day. So that was crazy. So.
Yeah, I know that with the bigger cons, like the last one where it had the 2 floors, it had all the artist stuff on the bottom, and then it had the vendors on the top.
Right.
I never went through the vendor area at the last one. I never made it up there, and we were there, 3 of the 4 days, or we were there every day? I know we missed one day. But
right, you missed one day, but yeah, it was.
That's insane. And this one, you know what? But we didn't really do the vendor area here. We spent most of our time, we weren't there that much, but we spent most of our time in Artist Alley, which is our favorite haunt. And
then the autograph area where all the celebrities
area,
are.
We usually don't spend time in, but we'll get to what happened there.
You know what? Then going to the autograph area at these cons is probably one of the most interesting places because you get to see the stars in a little bit different light. They're out signing stuff, and then they kind of turn it off when they're going to the bathroom or walking around. Or I remember at the Chicago one seeing Stan Lee just kind of walk around.
Yeah.
And it's John Carpenter. John Carpenter just walk around going, hey, who's in this line? Or who's everybody waiting to talk to?
You didn't follow him into the bathroom or anything?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I'll go into the John Luck Picard, the Patrick Stewart story maybe later. But he was just walking around going, who's everybody coming to see? And it was John Barrowman.
Did he say, I'm missing toilet paper in here, and you said, I've got some. Make it so.
Make it so.
Yeah,
he did. So no, but I'm just it was just kind of it's very interesting to see that whole dynamic. And
it's a whole unique world.
Yeah.
There's nothing else like it anywhere. And walking through, I love going through the celebrity area and seeing who comes because it's always different. George Wendt was at this one, and I think his son was with him because he looks exactly. I was like, oh my gosh, look at the kid. Exactly like him.
Yeah.
And who handles these people? Because I believe Erin Gray does a lot of she has not the contractor, is the company that brings all these people in.
Right.
And and she was a pretty decent
She
star
Silver
in the 80s.
Spoons.
Yeah, Silver Spoons. Maybe she was in Buck Rogers. She was in Buck
I
Rogers.
just know
and
Silver Spoons.
She did a cameo in the Guild, that web miniseries
Oh,
about
we love
gaming.
the Guild,
and that was
yeah.
fantastic. And there she is walking around, and I talked to her at Chicago for a minute.
Follow
I'm
her
like,
into the bathroom?
I did not follow her into the bathroom, but
Make it so.
she was just sitting there because she handled John Barrowman, and she was sitting there trying to deal with him being late and all that stuff, and she was just like, I can't really talk. And I said, thanks.
Wait,
but we
so
took him
she
in.
was a handler. She wasn't. There
She
with
owns the
celebrities.
company that brings the people in. So
so
whatever
we
company
need to
that
make
is,
friends with her.
we do need to make friends with her. So
Yes.
because she had a
I'm not
bunch. She
gonna
had a
tell her
bunch
what
of
you
them.
said about her. So
It was all very flattering.
Yeah, it's always just an eclectic group. You'll see certain ones that are the same, pretty much. A lot of the Walking Dead guys and various.
it's whatever
Lou
shows are
Ferrigno.
hot.
Lou
It's-
Ferrigno is at every.
Yeah, Lou Ferrigno's at every.
Con. It
James
doesn't matter which
Marstars,
one. He's at
Lou
every
Ferrigno
single-
and the Green Power Ranger are at every Comic Con.
Well, is he in prison? Which Power
No, no,
Ranger
the
went to
red one.
prison?
Red one is in
Okay.
prison.
The green one is at Comic-Con.
Okay.
He was there today.
Was he?
Somebody said that the original black one was there, but it was weird. I thought I saw the green one's thing. There was somebody dressed in the black one walking around, and
Wow.
I was standing there, and the guy goes, "It's actually the original black one."
Wow.
Like just walking around in costume. I'm like, "What? That is bizarre. That can't be real."
Well, that's what Bryan Cranston did.
Right.
He
went
wore
around
a.
in the
Right,
Bryan
yes.
Cranston mask.
He
Right,
did
right.
from Breaking Bad. He wore the mask, and no one knew it was him.
He
So
wore the Walt
Yeah.
mask, and no one knew it was him. And when he went up on stage, he peeled off the rubber mask, and it was really him underneath. And people started screaming because that was who they were engaging with. And then Hugh Jackman walked around, too, dressed in the Wolverine outfit, and nobody asked him for an autograph. Nobody realized because they didn't know it was him. And he's so much taller than the character would be.
Sure.
And he said the only comment he got, he walked around for like 6 hours. Only comment he got was a guy went, "You're too tall to be Wolverine." He's like, "Oh, thanks."
Yeah,
I
'cause you
worked
think-
on the costume hard.
Yeah, you will, especially you think Hollywood, where everybody is really pretty small. In
Right.
general, in general, that's not
He's a
always
huge
true.
guy.
But and he's 6'2", probably. He's a big guy. So
Nobody asked for pictures. Nobody stopped him.
yeah, you're not a good Wolverine. Work on that costume.
Yeah, could you get to work on that? He's
Gotcha,
like,
pal.
all he
Yep.
had were the sideburns. That's it.
Yeah.
No mask.
Yeah, had the real blades coming out of his hand.
We
Yeah, these-
did see, I'd like to bring this one up. We didn't get a picture, unfortunately, but we saw the first Rob Southgate cosplayer.
Yeah, we did. Until he ran. And then I said, oh, he just broke character because you would never run.
Yeah, no.
He would definitely stop and talk if it
Yeah.
was character. So
Stop and talk, have some coffee.
I think your
there was
body would go into shock if you started to
There was
run.
a guy wearing superhero pajama pants and like a T-shirt, just walking around, looked like unshaven, looked like garbage.
That's
Martha's
Rob.
like- she's like, "Hey, look, it's you."
Yeah.
He is. He's totally cosplaying.
But then he
me.
did totally just start running across the
Yeah, he
room,
got
and I was like,
excited and
yeah,
ran. I'm
done.
I don't do that.
Yeah, no.
No.
But if he had just been riding
I
on
just
a,
get loud and obnoxious. I don't run.
if he had been riding on an office chair, then it would have been Rob. He could have just,
That would
if
be
he
great.
just scoot around.
you know you've made it when they cosplay you at a Comic-Con.
You know, it was awesome. It was awesome. Well, and I did get cited, which was kind of funny. We had just talked to somebody, and we're walking around the corner, and we hear, Rob, and I'm like really excited. And I'm thinking, what the, what is it? It turns out it's one of our podcasters. Didn't know we were there.
Oh, nice.
He was so excited, and he's a guy that saw us at a panel last year and became one of our podcasters.
And finding somebody
So-
at Comic Con is like a needle in a
It's
haystack.
So Jim Alexander, who does our Bachelor podcast, and he's going to be doing a wrestling podcast, two of things I know nothing about, was so excited to see us. And then he saw Martha, and he's like hugging, and he's like, "Oh, Molly, it's cool." It's like so weird.
That's awesome. That's good.
Yeah. I asked him if he saw the cosplayer. He's like, "Yeah, I ran up. I thought it was you." No, I'm kidding.
No. Yeah, there you
right.
go.
No, that's not happening. No.
All right,
I
you
tried
want
to
to
charge
go?
$40 to Martha, but it didn't work.
I guess I want to talk. About the Lego announcement.
Yes.
I think that is
It's
awesome.
so awesome.
The Doctor Who.
Lego announcement.
And I'm gonna and say this. I know a guy who works at a Lego store in a location near Chicago, to be nameless, that said he'll get me a set when it comes out. Not I'll have to pay for it, but he'll put one aside for me. So I'm really
Did he mention
excited.
that
Okay.
he'd put two aside?
He may have
Right.
mentioned two. So
Okay.
But Chris, did you ever try to assemble the Legos? I mean, the ones that weren't Legos, they were the knockoffs.
Yeah, what was it called? Building blocks?
No.
Have you ever seen the other Doctor Who Legos?
It was
No.
a British set.
Is it good?
They're so impossible. We have a few of the sets, but
They're very cool. And
Yes.
they do go together well, but
Ish.
the instructions are
a nightmare.
awful.
Well,
They're
if you
so
say
I'm
him
glad Lego
with an English
finally-
accent, does it work better? I'm just wondering.
Of
Okay.
course, yeah.
Well, that's
Um,
how,
Yeah, but
that's
I
the
had
only
say it
way to
like
go.
Monty Python. Hey, you fucking put the Legos together. That was a terrible impression.
Hello?
I am full of terrible impressions.
Spam,
tonight.
Bad
spam,
day today.
spammy,
It's all right.
spam, spam.
Does she go together? No.
So anyway, I just wondered if you had any experience
No.
with the other version, because this needs to be
Yeah.
made so badly because the other ones were so difficult.
Well, it looks really neat, and I was
Oh, it
asking
looks
him how long it takes to
amazing.
get in production. He goes, it can take as little as 3 or 4 months.
Awesome.
Because they
Did you
they
watch
just
the announcement, though?
I did not.
Okay. I've got an updated information for you then. The woman
Good.
who did the announcement said a couple of interesting things. First of all, the set they showed is not what they're producing. Don't get disappointed.
That was a
the set they
prototype.
showed was a single set. It had a couple of different doctors, a couple
Right.
of different eras, had a couple of different monsters. What she indicated was this is what sold us on the Doctor Who line.
Ooh, nice.
So what the speculation is they're going to launch a line like they have with other things. Not like with the Ghostbusters, they did the one-off.
Right.
Back to the Future one-off. They're thinking, no, this is they are doing Doctor Who sets, and because of the way this guy pitched it with the various eras, they're thinking you're going to see, maybe a Peter Capaldi, maybe a Matt Smith set. Like they're going to
Nice.
roll them out that way. That's awesome.
No, that would be cool.
Oh, the update I was going to give you. I didn't get enough sleep. The update I was going to give you is she said it's
Well,
gonna
I
be the
forgot
fall.
we were podcasting for a minute there. I zoned out. So
Yeah.
good
So
thing
she
you
said it's going to be in
interrupted.
the fall. So my guess is probably September is when we're going to see that set roll out. I can't wait. Tell your buddy to put him aside.
It'll be great. I mean, and they'll start out with Capaldi or Matt Smith or David Tennant to get it going,
Yeah.
and then they'll throw a Tom Baker because they have to, and then they'll fill it in. So we'll see. I think it looked very neat. It looked cool, and everybody was happy that there was a rose. All of the people were commenting that they like David Tennant, and the TARDIS looked cool. So I think it'll be great.
How do you have a rose? You have to have. They're going to have to do the Runaway Bride. They're going to have to do Amy. You're going to have little Amelia. I mean, come on. And then when you got to use like the Hobbit figures, so they're a little bit smaller. I'm
For Amelia
all
Pond,
about it, man. And think of all the cool monsters.
Oh yeah, the Weeping Angel that I saw on the thing sold me on it. It was like it looked fantastic. So it'll be good.
I think the fact that it said Doctor Who on it sold you.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much, but that's okay.
And Lego. I like anything Lego.
Yeah.
Do you anything further on that or?
No, I just was very excited that came out. I mean, that was a very
That's a big input.
well.
For you,
It's a big input for us here at Blue Box, but for me personally, it'll be another thing to have. So
I think when
it'll
that
be
one
good.
hits, you're going to have a Lego night. And everybody will all bring our sets in, and we'll sit and build Legos, and then we'll play with them. And what happens at Blue Box stays at Blue Box. We'll just
Exactly.
say that. We'll drink some coffee. Sounds good to me.
All right, your turn.
Sounds good. Your turn.
Okay. I'm going to talk about a movie.
Wow.
I want to talk about Comic-Con, but I want to talk about a movie first. I watched, when we do these, I usually try to talk about movies that I watched without Martha, so she doesn't know exactly what I'm talking about. So I watched a documentary.
Which is
this
most of
week.
the time.
I don't know what you're talking about if I've seen it.
Yeah. You guys laugh.
It's really true. Yeah.
So I watched a documentary this week, which has been in my queue since we've had a queue on Netflix or Hulu. I don't remember which one I watched on. It's called American Grindhouse. I love film history. I love film books. I've gotten books that were like college books about film history and like read them on the toilet. Like, this is the greatest. I didn't have to tell you it was on the toilet. But it's the greatest thing. I make sure I wash my hands and I don't soil them. We'll just say that.
I'm going to just point at that to remind you that the clock is moving. I'm just going to point.
Sorry, I'm going to keep talking. So this movie is a documentary about the history of grindhouse films. I've seen a couple of other ones where they focus on 42nd Street, which was a big theater in New York where they showed all these weird like horror movies and that didn't show anywhere else, and that's where Grindhouse is from. Well, this goes back to like the 50s, the 40s. It goes through some different eras. It gets into the Nazi Grindhouse movies, which nobody ever talks about for some reason. Here's why I liked it. Like, the guy who made Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS, which is a famous...
What are you talking?
Grindhouse movie. Chris, you know what that is.
I do know what that is.
See, I'm not so crazy. Either that or we share a...
Yeah, that's probably...
You share the crazy.
We do share.
Chris and I are getting a rubber room and straitjacket two-person.
As long as we have Netflix and Hulu, we'll be good.
That's right. We're happy. Sorry, Martha and Kathleen. We got TV to watch. But they had the director of Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS, and it was so interesting because he said, like, he's talking about how I was hired for this piece of garbage movie, and I knew it was going to be Grindhouse. And then I thought, if I'm going to make this, I'm going to make this the ultimate. And he did. And then they had all these other Grindhouse directors going, that She-Wolf of the SS is, like, amazing. Like, I wish I could make a bad movie as good as that one. It was just a really interesting documentary. If you like that stuff, if you like film history, and you like that, like, underbelly grindhouse thing, if you like that movie that Tarantino and Rodriguez made, which I love, watch this movie. It's not for kids. I mean, surprising, right? It gets into, the nudity and the violence and all the stuff. Like, there's a whole thing on Feast of Blood.
Okay,
but no, that's a movie. That's a movie.
Nobody wants to know
It's a movie.
any of that. If you say it's not for kids, they can fill in the blanks.
Hey, kids, let me tell you what's in it.
Blah, blah, blah. Beep,
But
beep,
Yeah,
beep.
exactly.
It's really fantastic.
We're going to need those sound effects, Dave.
Yes. So Molly, not you, but kids, if you want to watch it, don't tell your parents it's on Hulu. And no, I'm kidding. It's really fantastic. So there you go. Have you seen this, or do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I have not seen it, and I just looked at a list of the films they reference, and
Yes.
I'm in. So I will go watch that.
Can you read any of those? There's She-Wolf of the SS.
They list a whole bunch of films that were referenced in there. The
Freaks.
Big Birdcage, Freaks.
Wait,
Yeah,
the
you know what?
Birdcage with Robin Williams?
Not Black Dynamite, which is a
Yes.
fantastic
Yes. Sweet
Grindhouse.
badass song
Well,
is in
they
there.
reference Hostel or it's that horror movie.
Yeah,
that
we've-
the kids, they do that to me, but they got all those old ones.
Talking about that in there, but yeah, that totally is a modern age Grindhouse film.
I was a teenage werewolf. That whole all
Yes.
those bad '70s Blood Feast you talked about. The Trip, She Devils on Wheels.
Wait, She Devils
I
with
think Chris and I
Roseanne?
are going to
Yeah,
have
Roseanne,
a little
so-
mandate and go watch all these movies.
Well, and they even went back as like the great, like they think they referenced films like The Great Train Robbery and Dracula and all that. How it, how it started and did that. So
Browning, who made Dracula, the next film he made was Freaks, which is really a good film, but it bombed because who wants to watch a bunch of real circus freaks? But now this year we've had American Horror Story with real, quote unquote freaks,
Right.
and it's been great. I'm not
yes,
going
it
to get
was.
into that.
Yeah, it was.
So there you go. American Grindhouse, big recommendation for me. Martha, you got one?
Gallivant.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
From one extreme to the other.
I love Gallivant.
Anyone else watch Gallivant here?
Did you guys like it? It did. I know 8 weeks was 8 episodes was a little too short, but it was so hysterically funny. The music, we bought the soundtrack, so we've been listening to the soundtrack, and it just continues to be funny. And I think that the costumes were just amazing, and the costume designer worked on Doctor Who.
Oh, okay.
She specializes in medieval costumes, and it's just dead on. The location, they actually filmed the whole series in England, so there's the castles and it looks so real because it is, as opposed to a sound stage in California or
Right.
something, you know what I mean, where they're usually filmed, and you kind of have to suspend your belief a little bit. But the acting is fantastic. And did you ever watch Psych?
Yes.
The one
The one detective, Timothy Olmanson.
he was
Oliphant?
Lassiter.
No, not
Lassiter.
Timothy
No
Oliphant.
offense. I know I can't say it
You know
either. I'm
what?
sorry.
Amundsen.
Almondson. There we go.
Timothy Oliphant.
I
Let's
know.
go see that movie.
No, he was not in it. But he plays the king, and he is absolutely brilliant.
He is amazing.
We liked it so much. Within the first 10 minutes, we had decided we had to podcast the series. So we did the whole
Now, let's get a shameless
series.
plug. The podcast is called Maybe Not the Worst Podcast Ever.
Yes.
I love that name.
Yeah.
But possibly could be
It
in
could be.
parentheses.
Yeah. Pretty true. Yeah. Kind of true.
Kinda
Sort of
true.
true.
Sorta
So
true.
anyway, there you go.
Yeah, Gallivant was great. So that's a huge recommendation. Now, for those of you that didn't watch it, I want to ask something. Because usually when we do these podcasts, we're sitting on a couch with us. We don't get to ask these questions. Is there a reason you didn't watch it? Does anyone feel like there was a reason? Like, I don't like musicals, or the commercials were terrible. Was there any reason you didn't watch it? Dead silent. So you just didn't watch it.
I would say that I just didn't have it as a priority to watch, and I want to. And I
Okay.
might binge watch it on Netflix when it comes out. But I mean,
Okay.
It would make a perfect binge watch.
I personally have limited time, and so when you're watching Blacklist and Doctor Who and Walking Dead and the other shows that we watch and the HBO,
Gotham,
Gotham and the HBO of
Arrow,
the and Face Off and all of the other little things that we watch, I don't have the time to pick
Yeah.
up a new show. So
Well,
I'll
this
binge watch it.
whole-
Watching TV right now.
I should be, but I'm podcasting.
The
so.
whole thing can be watched in 4 hours.
Right.
So it's a perfect 2-night binge watch, and you're done.
And it's
Or
it's
one
a good
day.
Yes.
You do that.
date one for you and Kathleen. I think Kathleen will enjoy it too. I'll be like, isn't it romantic?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, she would absolutely.
But
she
it's
would.
Isn't Elsa She-Wolf of the SS romantic?
Yes. I mean, we were watching Freak Show, and that was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Oh,
so we,
so good.
we're into those kinds of.
Did you watch
shows.
the ending of Freak Show?
Yes,
Did you like it?
I did.
Did anyone else watch Freak Show? Wyatt again.
just as
You know
right.
what? It got kind of panned at the end, but I liked it. I enjoyed that series.
How do you end it though? It's like it's the M Night Shyamalan
Shyamalama Ding Dong?
Shyamalama Ding Dong
Yeah.
problem. You write 90 minutes of great film and then you can't sum it up in 10.
Right.
So what do
Right.
you do? They
And you know what? I'll give you one big plus on there, aside from Kathy Bates on fire, as usual. The guy that played Quicksilver in X-Men on fire, as usual. He was great in it.
Right.
I can't think of anybody.
Is this your input?
No. And
Because tick here.
Okay, mine will be
Wow.
fast.
Okay.
And NPH, Neil Patrick Harris.
Oh yeah.
Awesome in that.
They have such great character actors in that. I hope they can keep them coming back and keep it interesting because they have done such a great job of doing that. So
amazing.
It is amazing. So
All right, Chris's turn.
well, you know what? The next thing.
I thought he just did it.
No,
I did
that was
Gallivant.
Gallivant. Gallivant that turned
I
into
didn't even
American
finish,
Horror
but I'll
Story,
move
but that's
on.
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I guess the input I want to say is about how there are so many which seem like really good movies or interesting movies that don't do well in the box office, like Jupiter Ascending or Seventh Son or whatever that they put out that they bombed this week, and I brought that up, and people don't give them a chance to watch them because somebody on Rotten Tomatoes says, hey, it's stupid. I mean, how many movies, whether it's like Grindhouse or other movies that were bad that you like to watch, or Big Trouble in Little China is a great example.
Oh,
it's a great movie, maybe in the wrong way, but it's still a great movie, and it's panned, and if it was put out now, it never would have made it.
It would be a straight to DVD.
It would be a straight to DVD, and it was a great movie, unfortunately, for the wrong things. But the same as like with TV shows, like we were talking about, you were talking about Constantine in an earlier podcast. You need to give these shows a couple of years if you're going to make that investment. And in America, they don't because, it didn't do the ratings. Well, what's up with that? And I don't like that because we are as a entertainment country, we're reusing the same name, and we're putting out, Ghostbusters 7 with the 6th cast, and we're not coming up with new things that could be interesting, or, the new things that we do come up with aren't, we don't give them a chance to go.
Right. Everyone complains about it being, a rehash, but the new stuff gets pushed over a lot.
Right.
So yeah, I agree.
Because it may not make money. I mean, it's great that we have these big franchises.
Netflix,
right. That is great. I mean, and Netflix is the future, and unlike AMC, like Walking Dead probably would have never made it if it wasn't on AMC, or The Sopranos would have never made it had it been on
CBS.
network CBS because they couldn't have done that. Yeah.
No.
I mean, they do some great filmmaking. I mean, some of them are bad, but I mean, you get to these. What's the one that was just about Atlantic City, which was Boardwalk Empire. Fantastic. Now, there was a season that wasn't that great, or a couple, and that happens, but the first 3 were unbelievable. Right. And then, it's like, we're going to sit there and maybe rehash that again in something else. So that was just my input. I think we, need to give things a little bit more time, and instead of saying, hey, it only has 1.1 million viewers instead of 1.2.
Yeah, right.
And we have to can it. Instead of putting, and I hate to say it, rehash the same. I know it's about money. Rehash the same. What's the word I'm looking for? The real life
product.
Are we going to have Survivor 29 million?
I hope.
I love Survivor.
I do too, but
Survivor.
how many do we have to have of that same exact?
Infinity.
We just need to have Survivor. We don't need to have all these iterations.
Right.
Sure. Absolutely.
But they're awesome.
I held my thought for so long.
You forgot it?
That now I can't remember what I was going to say.
Did you want to talk about Gallivant more?
I'm all good. No, but I wanted to talk about but I was going to say that. But thankfully, we have entities like Netflix and Hulu that are picking up what the networks are putting down.
Sure.
So as they drop them, they're saying, you know what, we'll take it on. Orange is the New Black.
Right.
Always. No, but sorry, that was not a good example because that was always Netflix. But Longmire?
Yeah. Longmire got picked up by
What
Netflix.
are some other ones?
They did
Netflix,
get picked up by Netflix.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have done that if they couldn't have done Orange is the New Black. I mean, that kind of I think they saw that opportunity as like, hey, we can get viewers.
Well, exactly.
We can
With
produce
original
this for a third of the cost because we're not, doing the big studio thing.
On one of our podcasts, some of our podcasters were talking about like their favorite stuff from last year, and they brought up BoJack Horseman, which is an animated show on Netflix.
Right.
I see it on there. I've never stopped on it, and they were like, it's fantastic, and it would never play anyplace else.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
When you think about it, it's funny how the thought was always, God, I hope my show stays on. And now, every time I talk to people about it, it's like with Constantine. The first thought is, you know what? If it goes off of there, God, I hope Netflix picks it up.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
They
So
can
we
do it right and fix it.
We
Right.
do have people that are willing to put themselves out there. We do have that. But
Well, yeah.
I also think that we have a lot of original. For a while there, we were just regurgitating everything that Britain did.
Right.
With
Right.
The Office and other shows, and just going, oh, we'll just do an American version of that. We'll just do an American.
Right.
But we've had some really interesting original content floating around. It's just a question of finding it and
Well, I think
getting them to hold on to it longer.
viewers, it's our responsibility to watch stuff like Hulu, where if you want to encourage that, watch Hulu, where you see like Moon Boy,
And then podcast about it.
Well,
And
yeah, right. And then, and subscribe
Yeah.
on
Southgatemedia.com.
No, but we should be seeking those things out, because if we're watching like Moon Boy, it's sending a message.
Right.
Right.
And if we're
It's sending
not
a
watching-
message that I love Chris O'Dowd.
And if we're
That's
not
the
watching,
message.
if you're watching the original, but you're not watching the American version, it's also sending a message.
Right.
Like, be creative.
Sure.
You know?
Well, because unfortunately, there's so much money involved in all of this. They almost need to make sure that they're going to make money off of it, or come
Right.
close. They can't afford to spend $50 million on a bomb. They just don't have that much
Right.
money, and
Right,
that's
right.
why they do that. And I understand the financial responsibility they have to have, but it makes it hard because it is the regurgitation of things. Like, I know we also talk about like web series like The Guild or Legend of Neil that were fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, and the first series of
Vader.
the first year of the Guild, which was basically like 3 TV shows in length total, was financed by her and by PayPal. She
Right.
put this idea out and said, hey, I have this idea, would you pay for it? And then all of a sudden Xbox paid them, and it's turned Felicia Day into a pretty big celebrity.
Right.
From doing that, and
And she gets great fringe people. Like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
got, Doug Jones and what's his name? Will Wheaton.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Well,
she
Will
gets
Wheaton-
these people, and they're awesome.
But
on the
she
show.
gets, because of that, she
But
gets on other
networks
shows
aren't
like
picking them
right,
up.
Eureka. She's on Supernatural. She shows up in a lot of things,
Right.
And then she meets people, and they say, "I love your show. Could I come on as a cameo?" Erin Gray. That's how they found her. She ran into her at Comic-Con, and Erin's like, "I'd love to be on there," and they said, "Okay." I mean, she basically plays herself with a different name in the show.
I'm
and
all right with that.
It was fantastic. I mean, it was really, really good. So, and you can do that for a ton less money than you could one series of Friends or whatever. Although I really liked Friends, but at the end, it was costing $10 million a show to make. So
Every character gets $1 million.
and God bless that they were getting paid that kind of money. So, but that was good. So sorry.
Okay,
No, you're good.
I'm going to roll through this one just because it's tied to what Martha said. It's been a busy couple of weeks for us, so our inputs have been kind of funky. We went to Comic-Con, as we said, and this, to me, was a new experience. When we go to these cons, we go to a lot of them, we spend our time in Artist Alley, which you get to meet all the comic book artists and writers, and it's just really fantastic. Well, I encourage everybody to take the time. Go in and talk to these guys. They love to talk to you, and they're cool. But this time we did something different. Not only did we do that, but I ventured into the celebrity area, and you were saying it's great you get to meet these people. Well, here's what I did. I went on the off times when they were still there, but the lines weren't there. And like Brett Dalton, he's on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., he plays Ward. It's a big character, right? When we were there yesterday, big line for Agent Ward. Of course, he's on a big hit show. Big line. Today we go up, there's one person standing there talking to him. I said to Martha, I'm going to go try and talk to him. Now, usually, it says you got to come up, you got to pay or whatever. Okay. I just went up to a handler. I said, is it cool? I'd just like to meet him for a second. Yeah, sure. He stood there and talked to Molly, my daughter, and I for a while. He was awesome. I talked to Edward James Olmos. Edward James Olmos is this icon. I couldn't believe that I got to, and he called me over. I was talking to his handler. I was like, hey, come here, talk to me. I was like, get out. It was cool. I talked to the guy who plays Eugene, Josh. I'm going to say his name wrong, even though it's easy. Josh McDermott, and I talked to the other guy, Chris, that you said.
Is it Cudlitz? Is that how you say his name?
Yeah,
Michael
that
Cudlitz?
guy.
Yeah.
Both from Walking Dead. I mean, these guys are like big stars on arguably the biggest show out there. Walked up, had conversations, shook hands. it wasn't just like, oh, you're cool on the show. It was like we got into a conversation.
Well, and Michael Rooker was there, who we love. I mean, we've
Yeah.
loved him since 80s. Is that 80s,
Right.
I guess? And
Henry
I mean, he's
Ford
like
was a serial
classic,
killer.
classic.
Talk about grindhouse.
I say this with all
And,
affection. That boy be crazy.
Oh yeah, but you
He's
know what?
nuts.
He is the warmest, kindest man. He went out of his way. He was so good to the kids.
Yeah.
And the
was
parents,
sweet.
everybody.
He's genuine, is what it
He
is.
stood
He's
there
got a-
taking selfies. He didn't care
He's-
what
he's
the
grabbing
stupid
things
sign
like
said.
selfies with the kids.
He was
Did
fantastic.
you pay the $40? No, don't worry about it. Come here.
Well, you know, there's something about
That's
going to
awesome.
those and having your trust or like or your affection for those celebrities,
dashed.
not dashed, but like
Once
sorry,
you meet
I
him
can't
and
even
you
think of a word.
go,
I had a
oh,
great
no.
saying, but like
Yeah.
like when I met
Yeah.
John Barrowman in
Yeah.
Chicago, he couldn't have been a nicer person,
Right.
and it just validates what you think about him. It's
Yeah.
like you know
What you- or what you
it's not
want
like
to
you
be
say,
true.
Oh, there's John Barrowman. He's this
Yeah.
great guy, and he's all these shows.
Yeah.
And he's this perfect guy, and
Exactly.
then he's a tool. He's not.
Right, right.
And like I think I've told you this in other times. When we met Matt Smith and Karen Gillan, they were unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you meet John Barrowman, and he was even better, even
Wow.
nicer, even more accommodating, and you're just like, oh my gosh, and that's why they're that popular because
Yes.
they are that kind and they are that nice.
And like Lou Ferrigno, I got to meet him. And now you met him before.
Yes, Molly and I met him in August.
He's
Yeah.
at everything, and he's one of these that never has a line, really.
Right.
He's at everything. You know what? Go up and meet Lou Ferrigno. He is sweet. He is the nicest, kindest guy. And he stood there and talked to me for a while, and it was cool.
Yeah.
It was so cool. So that was my input. I just want to encourage everybody.
Sure.
Go to a con. If you look and you see some people you like, if you think you're going to get up to the biggest name out there, maybe not. But we timed it right. We watched
Sure.
for when it was off times, and we got to meet. I bet Jason Mewes from the Kevin Smith movies. He couldn't have been nicer.
Yeah.
You know?
And the thing you got to realize is they're people too, and they have the same problems, and they're just happen to be very famous.
Right.
And they have the same things that you want to talk about with your buddies or your friends. I mean, hey, did you watch the game? Hey,
Right.
I like what you're doing. Thanks. What are your causes? Whatever.
Yeah,
And then if you're
Josh-
genuine with them, that's good.
Josh
So
McDermott is from the Midwest, and there was a guy standing in front of me. I went away and then came back and talked to him. But when I was standing there initially, he was talking to a guy. I mean, it was like 10 minutes. Okay, he's got a line of people that want to pay money. He doesn't care. He's talking about the Packers with this guy,
Yeah.
and about not about like his love of the Packers, just about that guy.
Right.
He's like, so do you tailgate? The guy's telling him about tailgating. He's like,
That's
dude,
awesome.
I love when people invite me to tailgates. And then the guy, he wasn't even
Sure.
talking.
right.
So that's a perfect
Yeah,
interview
very
for me.
cool.
I can talk through the whole thing.
Yeah. Hey, what do you mean?
So that's my input. Martha, you got another one? Chris,
I
you got
can't
another one?
remember.
You don't remember your other one?
I had it, and it is-
Well, I know it was a TV show. It wasn't. Oh, you did Gallivan.
You did,
And
yeah.
we watched the end of Entourage. Did you want to mention that?
No. It was
Okay,
all right.
good.
It was, we
The
had
last-
watched all the seasons, and
Yeah.
we had held out and then binged the last season?
two.
Last two seasons, and it was just sort of get through it to find out what happens, but I didn't love it. But
I have to say, the last minute.
I did
Yes.
love
it
the
was
last
like a
episode.
Marvel movie. They did an after credit. Was worth
Yeah,
watching those two seasons.
that's true.
It was amazing. Like it ended with like, oh, I really want this to continue.
Yeah, but it wasn't the
So watch the last minute, folks.
yeah. Just
Right.
you
Well-
can't jump ahead though, because you have to know what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I can't wait if the movie that they say is coming is going to come.
yeah.
For Entourage, which
Well,
would be
that
great
will be
'cause-
good.
Yeah,
I
it would be
like-
really
yeah,
good
I
because
like when they do that.
Jeremy Piven as Ari Gold was.
Oh, he's
he was
insane.
truly gold. I mean, he truly was
is
gold.
one of my favorite characters, probably of all time.
If
on
it was
TV.
just
He
him
was
and
Lloyd.
Lloyd
That's all it has to be is him and Lloyd. And
If they
it's
just
the-
and
did a
John and
spin-off.
drama,
Just
and if
do
drama,
it.
that would be great.
Do us-
It would-
Well,
those three.
drama's ego doesn't
Right.
fit on any screen, but I think that
Kevin
yeah,
Dillon plays drama.
Yeah.
He's great in it.
but
Johnny Drama.
Lloyd and Ari's chemistry
And Mrs.
is
Ari,
beyond
who we didn't know her name for
in-
3 seasons.
Same.
Mrs. Ari.
Mrs. Ari,
Mrs.
yes.
Ari.
Yeah.
See, I
No.
I liked
all
Turtle
right.
in the beginning. I didn't like him at the end. I mean, I liked the concept where he was just one of the guys that was just kind of hanging on. But when I hate to say when they fleshed him out,
Yeah.
it didn't hold the same thing for me because kind of took away from the entourage. It wasn't about the entourage. It was about them
doing their thing.
doing their thing, which was a logical step, and I thought was okay for the story, but it just didn't. What appealed to me was it's him making all this money and his buddies are hanging out.
Right.
And
It
they're
could
just
have been like Aftermash, where it's after Entourage,
Yes.
but just been about Lloyd, Ari, and drama, and it would have worked.
I just
Instead of Klinger, Radar,
and Andrew Dice Clay.
I don't know how many times a day we just yell through the house, Lloyd. You know, it's like it's just I love them.
So great.
Yeah. So that if I could just
See,
watch
so that was
those.
a good input for you.
Well, okay, ish. Okay, so
So that's it. Do you have
That's
any
how
more,
much
or
No,
time
I'm
we
good.
have.
We
Okay.
have 33 seconds. So.
That's it. That was the
Okay.
end of Input Junkie. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. You can find the rest of these podcasts, all of our past episodes, and all of our podcasts at our website, which is www.southgatemediagroup.com. Thank you, Blue Box Cafe. This has been awesome. It's a great place. Join us every Saturday for live shows. Thanks, everybody. Good night.